All right, welcome back. This is our last IXL lesson for this week. It's S10. S10 where you want to go. So follow the link to S10 and follow along. So this time, it's asking you to fill the missing number to complete the linear equation. So it gives you a table, and your job is to find what is that missing number. So for this equation, f of x equals, and we're looking for m here. So in this case, we only need to find m, so you can use the slope formula, or you can look for the change in the change in y over change in x. It's not going to let me do that. So another way to find m equals, we can say the change in y. So the change in y, we use the triangle for change in y divided by the change in x. Okay, change in y over change in x. All right, so looking at my table, I'm going to do this method. So x, we can see, is changing plus 1. Okay, not a lot of room there, but 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So my change in x is plus 1. Change in y, looking here, how does y change? From 6 to 8, from 8 to 10, from 10 to 12. How is that changing? Well, 6 plus 2 plus 2. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. It's changing plus 2 each time. So that's my change in y. Change in y. So we have change in x over change in y. Therefore, it equals, just use a different color, 2 divided by 1 is 2. So my n value here, my slope, is 2. All right. All right. Next one. This time, it's looking for our b value, negative. This is a little bit different. So, before we had our equation, and we're looking at y equals mx plus b. And we looked for where b is where x equals 0. Our y-intercept is where x equals 0. But do we have x equals 0 here? No, we don't. Okay. So we're going to copy what we know for for our equation, and we're going to choose values here for x and f of x. Okay. My values for x and f of x, and substitute them into our equation over here. So if this is f of x equals mx plus b, mx plus b. M here, it's important to note, there's no m. That doesn't mean m is not a number. M is going to be 1. Okay, so in this case, m equals 1. All right, so I don't need to write 1, but I just want you to know that m here, there's no coefficient. The coefficient is 1. We're going to copy our equation, but substitute for what we know. So f of x, what does f of x equal? Well, we're going to choose 1 for f of x. So 1 equals m. M is 1. I'm not going to copy 1. X is 2. And then we finish minus our b. 2 minus b, because we want to know what is b. And so now we need to solve for b. What is this number? All right, so we have our equation now. I'm going to take out my pen and we'll solve for b. That means we're going to take our 2 and move it to the other side of the equation. We want to move 2 over here. So we need to solve the equation. We're going to solve for b. If 2 is positive, it becomes negative. So negative 2, this is positive 1, it stays here, equals negative b. Positive 1. And I messed that up. Let's see. Let's erase all that. Let's write it out again. Negative 2 plus 1 equals, so the 2 moved to the other side, it's going to equal a negative b. So I need to solve for negative 2 plus 1. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1 equals negative b. Now, when you have a negative on a negative, we don't want to know what is negative b. We want to know what is b. B. So we're going to divide by a negative here and divide by a negative 1 here. So negative divided by negative, it becomes positive. We're dividing by that same number to find the inverse, and therefore b equals 1. b equals 1. So that's what we're going to enter here. b for y equals mx plus b, or f of x equals mx plus b, b equals 1. All right. That one was a little bit complicated. So we're going to do it again. We have different values this time. I'm going to substitute my smaller numbers in for f of x and x. So let's go back to our equation. So f of x this time equals 29. X equals 4. Okay, m is 1, so 1 times 4 is 4. This time it's plus b, so it's a little bit easier, plus b. And we want to solve for b. This time I'm going to do it a different way. Okay, if this is a positive 4, we want to take the 0 pair, right? A 0 pair is a number with 4 that equals 0. So what number, 4 plus what number equals 0? 4 plus, well, negative 4 equals 0. We call 4 and negative 4 a 0 pair, because when we add them together, a pair, we add them together equals 0. So 4 plus its 0 pair, or its inverse, and then we need to, so it's just like subtracting minus 4. And to keep the equation balanced, if I subtract 4 from one side, I've got my equation on each side, I subtract 4 from one side, I need to subtract 4 from the other side of the equal sign. So 29 minus 4, 25. 4 minus 4 is 0 plus b. Okay, and then I'm going to include that equal sign here. So we get 25 equals 0 plus b. Any number plus 0 is just that number, so b is what I get. So b equals 25. That's what goes here. All right, another way to think about this problem is looking at our function and saying f of x equals x plus some number, given these numbers x, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I look at this problem, and I say x is 5. X is 5. 5 plus, what number equals 27? 5 plus what number equals 27? 5 plus, equals 27. And what will we do to find that? We take 27 minus 5, gives you 22, right? And it should be the same thing. 6 plus what number gives you 28? 6, x is 6. 6 plus what number equals 28? And of course that is the same, 22. So that's a different way of figuring out what is b. Plus 22 equals your y. So 7 plus 22 is 29. 8 plus 22 is 30. Okay? Let's take a look at the next. All right. This is the last example we'll do. This time you're looking for m and b, or f of x equals mx plus b. So for this, you can figure out how it's changing, how x, change in x over change in f of x, or change in y. Or you can use the slope formula. So that's what we're going to use this time, our slope formula. So I'm going to go through and choose y2. I'm going to select this is my y2. Nope, let's go back and choose this one. Smaller numbers are better. y2 minus y1, and then x2 minus x1. All right, and I'm going to use that over here. So my y2 is negative 2 minus my y1, negative 1. All right, and then my x2 is 3 minus 2. So y2 over y1, x2 over x1. And we want to see what this equals. All right, so equals negative 2 minus negative 1 is going to be equal to negative 2 plus 1. All right, and I know from here, 3 minus 2, that's going to be 1. So that's easy. We don't need to do much more over that. But we need to then continue. So we understand how we go. When you see two minus signs together, it becomes positive. This is like minus a negative, or negative times negative, positive. So then this equals negative 2 plus 1. We subtract. The negative is bigger, so we get negative 1 divided by 1, or negative 1 divided by 1 equals negative 1. So that's our slope. So that's our m value. Next, we need to figure out what's b. We typically look for where x equals 0. So if I was to write in my answer here, we know m is negative 1. So let's type that in. M is negative 1. So if we plugged in an x value, what do we need to do to get the y value? So if x is negative 1, if m is negative 1, negative 1 times 2 is 2. Let's write this out in our function. F of x, we want our answer to be negative 1. So f of x is negative 1. I'm using these values for my x and f of x. F of x equals negative 1. Negative 1 equals m is negative 1. Parentheses, negative 1 times x is 2. And then the b is what we want to figure out. What is b? So plus b. All right, so there's our formula. We're just using f of x is negative 1 equals m is negative 1, x is 2 plus b. And now I'm going to solve the equation. copy the -1. I'm going to do -1 times 2 first. So -1 times 2 is -2 plus b. Plus b. Go back to our black. Our next step, we want to move the -2 to the other side. We do that by changing the sign. So this is negative. It's going to become positive. So -2 becomes +2 minus 1 equals, so we move the -2, equals the positive b or just plus b. Positive b or b. Now it's important when you're solving equations that you keep your equals in line. Okay? Your equals in line. We get +2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 equals b. 2 minus 1 equals b. And we'll use back to black. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 equals b, or my b equals 1. So that goes here. All right. I know this is a bit more complicated than what we've done before. Okay? So just do your best here. If you make a mistake, all right, you can scroll down. Don't just click, got it. Okay? Look at the progress, and then look. Here are your steps. Okay? These are what's going on. Plug in, simplify, simplify. Plug in m equals 5 and b equals 0. Okay? It's giving you those steps. It's showing you the steps. All right, I hope that's helps for S10. See you around.